What's up, everybody? How y'all doing?
Was good. Was good. Man, it feels good to be back,
Good,
man. I
bro.
feel like we it's been a minute. I know it's only been a week since we skipped, but I feel like
Yeah,
whenever we
no,
do
that
skip a
sucks.
week, it feels like 2 weeks or it feels like longer.
It's way
And
too long.
I don't know, in the information cycle we live in now, it's just like it feels like every day is like a whole new volume of something happening. So 2 weeks feels like a long time.
It, you know what? It is a long time. I got something to say about that. But Brian, how you doing, man? It is a long time. I be feeling the same way you do, Trey. How you feeling, Brian?
Bro, I'm good, bro. I ain't even gonna lie.
Yeah, you
Um,
chilling. You got a fresh fade and everything. I shouldn't even ask you.
yeah.
Um,
I ain't even gonna cap to you.
yeah,
My barber is a part of my routine. I go every Saturday at 9 a.m., bro.
Hey,
that's the
Like,
smart. See, that's the thing.
on the books.
That's the
keep it
thing.
simple.
That's the
He know
thing.
I'm coming every week.
That's what I was on. See,
Hey,
when
Yeah,
I was the most relaxed, I was going every week. I
yeah.
was going to the barber every week.
no,
See,
that's
see,
a nice way to
see,
do it. That's a nice way to do it.
you when you go, the less you go, you're either in real grind mode trying to figure something out,
Yeah.
or 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 you're on top of your shit and you just kind of like, hey, I'm up, I'm looking good, like like
Yeah.
you know, it,
I ain't gonna
yeah,
cap. I've been in my bag, bro, and I'm gonna
I could
stay in that
tell,
bitch
I could
all
tell.
year.
Yeah, bro.
Mhm.
I'm telling you.
First of all, the audience got to know. I, if Brian gonna throw me in a throw us in a group chat. All he thought the first gift was just cash. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like what are you like? Brian too up right now. What is he talking about? Because I'm not feeling. I'm not feeling that. Like Brian clearly we have a disconnect. Because
Bro,
that those
I'm
gifts that was
I'm
popping up in that chat, there was a lot of cash. There was a lot of cash
There
coming in.
was, there was, there
Yeah, I
was.
saw
Nah,
that.
nah. For all the folks out there, we doing something during Afro Tech. We still
Yeah,
gonna map it out, but that's what it was in relation to. And so
yeah.
we got the homie Jadrian who's tapping in and gonna be helping us execute. And I just know how he executes. And I
Yeah.
think,
I'm excited for this.
I even shared this with Dre. I was like, I really do think we need to approach this thing as a business. We sit up here and we talk about business, we break
Mhm.
down business, we give game on business. Let's go
Mhm.
build one. Like that's how we should approach this. And so
Yeah.
Mhm.
any sponsors, yeah, y'all know
I'm
we
Yeah.
excited.
can have fun.
I'm excited for this because when we were talking about it, and I'm like, you know what? We busy. The three of us busy. We got a lot going on.
Yeah.
We all balancing multiple things.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
like, if we really want this event to actually happen, we got to really resource it properly. We got to go get somebody. And I had mentioned one name. I ain't gonna mention the name publicly, but I mentioned one name, and Brian was like,
Yeah.
"Nah." He's like, "I got the right person." And I
Yeah.
was like, "All right, bet. I'm gonna trust that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
trust that." But he instantly knew like the right person for
Yeah.
the job, and I think that's so important. That's probably the number one lesson in business: is build the right team. Like you need that. If you ain't got the right team, it don't matter what you're trying
Yeah.
to do. So I'm excited for what we got cooking up, and yeah, we'll share more as we get further into planning. But yeah, sponsors, we definitely trying to tap in for sure.
Yeah. To add on to that team point, yeah, just the ability to delegate and trust that things will come when you delegate. That's one of the hardest things that I found. Just being a manager and being a founder or being a CEO is delegation and trusting. It's actually in our commandments because I saw it happen so infrequently at so many companies that we have a commandment called trust your team. And so that shit is important. And I'm gonna
I think
look. Go ahead.
one thing I was gonna say on that is I think when it does come to collaboration, the thing I try to optimize for is alignment and expectations. Like
Yeah,
I feel like if you always just seek to set the proper expectations and manage against those expectations, everything else takes care of itself. Communication, goal setting, planning, like it's all done to make sure that you align. Like if you can stay in
yeah.
alignment, you knock it out
Alignment
of the park.
is the word of the year. I think it's the word of the
Mm.
next few years. I'm telling you, it's came across multiple aspects of my life, from personal relationships to business to just in general, with the world. You even see, AI with AI alignment and say like alignment. I'm telling you, because the way this world is going back to what Jay was saying earlier. So now we know how everybody doing what Jay was saying earlier about the speed.
Mm.
This speed cycle is something else. This ain't normal. You know,
Oh
we
yeah.
ain't going crazy. This is not normal. There's a speed. There's a change. There is shifting. There's good. There's bad. But there's also opportunity. Like um, I will be. I also want to say on this podcast. Look, I'm representing Beat the Odds podcast at the Upfront Summit. I've had everybody try to hit my lineup. They don't want to give me money, but they want to invite to the summit, and and they don't want to do anything else, but they want to make sure they can get themselves and their boy in to the summit. I'll be there representing Safe and Beat the Odds podcast. It's going to be a really great event. There's over 250 LPs that'll be there. And that's just LPs, not considering just like the whole thing. And so every chance I get, Beat the Odds is
Yeah.
going to be in people's faces.
The Upfront Summit is lit. I've been very fortunate, thanks to you,
Yeah,
Rodney, to
yeah,
have been able to attend. Was it
yeah,
last year? I don't know if it was last
yeah,
year or
yeah.
the year
I think it was.
before
I think it
last.
was. It's time is moving crazy, right? Time is
Like
moving
when
crazy,
was
right? I
it?
think it was two. I think it was. It's
Maybe
it's
2 years ago.
1 or 2 years ago.
I think it
So
was at
it's
least
me,
2 years ago.
you,
Yeah.
and Dave, and was it
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
somebody else? Me, you, and
Yeah, yeah,
Dave.
yeah.
Okay.
And it
Yeah.
was lit. It was a crazy experience. Like
Yeah.
very very informational and informative. In fact,
Yeah.
Russell Wilson was there. He was there. He was
Yeah.
giving a talk.
Yeah.
He and
Yeah.
his
I remember
brother was
that.
there. I didn't even know he had a brother.
Yeah.
They look just
Yeah.
alike actually, but they were
Yeah.
there and dropping some gems. And yeah,
Yeah.
it was an incredible experience. So yeah, for those who are fortunate enough to be able to get the invite to the Upfront Summit, definitely take advantage. There's some incredible people
Yes.
in the room.
Yes.
Opportunities to learn, opportunities to network, and yeah,
I'm
make it
gonna put
happen.
this in the air. I'm gonna put this in the air too. This is what we're gonna look back on. Uh, Beat the Odds is going to be more than just me and Dre at the summit. It's going to be me, Dre, and Brylan. We're going to look next year because I always tell people when they hit me up a week or 2 weeks before, I'm like, yo, you got to this. It happens every year, so you're not going to
Yeah,
come in at the
yeah,
last
yeah.
that's not how it's
Because
going to work.
everybody trying to get in now. Everybody trying to get
Yeah,
in now.
yeah. Like everybody, like wait until like I'm like, yo, look, the best thing people could do is let me know today before the event about the next year's event. And so I'm
Right.
saying that right now that we'll be there, and I'll do what I can. Every year, even as a portfolio company, getting it, making sure I'm in there
Of course, of course.
is a thing. So yeah, but yeah, no, I'm excited because live events are going to be big. I actually want to talk about this topic, maybe. Because it kind of aligns with what Brian was saying about business, but also just like where this kind of content game is going. So, one, I want to address this. Um, uh, we had talked about like the Joe Budden podcast before, and one thing that's interesting about them is that they did something different early on. They're some of the earlier people that kind of got the deal with like Joe Rogan, similarly with Spotify and whatnot. And so there was a lot of like podcast money that came into the game. There's a lot of podcasts when they came into the game. Um, but this cycle, it seems like a lot of that money is not being renewed. So there are podcasts that kind of depended on those deals from like Spotify or whatever the case. They're still sponsors, and that's our thing. But those bigger deals that like allow people to work full time, it's kind of like getting pulled back. And tech has a way of doing that. Like, hey, we'll try this over here and then see how it goes, and then we'll kind of scale it back. Of course, Joe Rogan got his shit renewed. We know that. But you see people in like, for example, certain podcasts are shutting down that I didn't expect. For example, See the Thing Is podcast. I don't know how many people know about them, but they're shutting down their podcast. Um, you know, because of some of these things or other podcasts and whatnot. And I would just say that it reinforces the idea of consistency, and also we want to be in business, and we want to do business at the same time. I think that people um, their content shifted when the money came in, and sometimes that changes, and so the content is what keeps the viewership, and the content also and the audience is ultimately what keeps the business afloat and keeps people wanting to come and sponsor and ads and whatnot. And I think that's when I see other podcasters doing certain moves, like I'm noticing more podcasters are trying to get more guests on that when they usually haven't. And so I'm like, oh, there's a moving and shaking of the industry, and I wonder if you guys like have noticed any of this on some of these podcasts. To remind you, I'm a big fan now of podcasts, and then Dre put me on them years ago. But now I sit back and I watch the videos, a lot of YouTube videos, podcasts. What do you guys think about like just like the podcast space, and how that's going to change with companies kind of dialing back their investments, especially the tech companies because we come with big dollars. Tech usually comes with those big dollars.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think it all goes back to like a return on investment for these companies. You
Yeah,
know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
internally they'll put the cash up, but if the
yeah,
return on that investment is not worth it for them, it doesn't really make sense. And so
yeah,
I think the way to go in the podcast space is you got to have your, so you got to have your own audience that you are able
yeah,
to drive and bring to the table.
yeah,
But more importantly, like in the case of Joe Rogan has that. Like he has an
yeah. You
audience
already had
that
that.
he
Yeah,
has brought to Spotify. Like
exactly.
Spotify really didn't. Spotify, sure, I'm sure has brought an audience to Joe Rogan because they help,
Yeah,
increase exposure because, Spotify is one of the largest streaming platforms. But make no
yeah,
mistake, Joe Rogan was big before
yeah. He was
that
the big dog.
opportunity. Yeah, he was the
He was the
big
big
dog, so
dog.
he already had an audience. But I also think too, like you got to think of yourself as a business. And so what does that mean? Like you got to be pushing your own content. You got to be pushing your
Yeah,
own products, your own services, your own stuff
yeah,
through your podcast. Like I think about like Club Shay Shay, for example. Like
yeah. I love
every
it. What
time
he's
he
doing.
starts Club Shay Shay, he's
Yeah,
drinking his whiskey or his
I love what he's
cognac.
doing.
I think he has a
Yeah,
cognac. He's drinking his cognac and he's talking about it. He's promoting that. That's his product.
shameless. Yeah,
There's just getting that marketing. I think about like Charlemagne and some of his podcasts. Usually, like in the
the
background, he'll
books.
have his books. He'll have his
Yeah,
books or whatever products that he has. So I think podcast hosts and podcasts in general, creators need to more so think about the business outside of just the realm of talking on the microphone and really think about how to use that as just distribution because
yeah,
typically like that's really the true value in it and not really
hmm
look for like brands to not look for
yeah,
platforms necessarily
yeah.
to
I hear
give you
you.
money. You know what I'm saying? Because I think if you build an authentic connection with your audience, there's
Yeah,
always some brand that fits for that
yes,
audience. You know what I'm saying? So you'll be able to
yeah,
find them, and it may not be through the Spotify or some of the bigger platforms, but like there's always a
yeah,
brand looking for that really
yeah,
small niche network or community of people. So and look, and we're taking our same advice in that, right? Like we're starting our first in-person event this season, this year. I said this season, I'm thinking about it in terms of like football. My
yeah.
mind's on the
Shit,
football
it's
business.
insane.
But I'm thinking about it. But yeah, we're starting this year our first in-person event. You know what I'm saying? And who knows if that could continue to blossom into. But we're treating it like a business. You know what I'm saying? And that's outside of us talking on the mic. That's bringing people together. Who knows what other stuff we might actually funnel through there as well. But I think that's how a podcast should be moving.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I hear you. Because I think yeah, like
Hold on, Brylan was
it's
about to
basically
say something. Hold on.
No, no,
Go
no.
ahead.
where you
I
where
was
you?
just saying. I was just saying. No, I agree. I also think it's one of those things too, though. While having a podcast is distribution, that comes at a certain stage, and I don't know if many people end up reaching that stage or that level where they're even in a position to really have distribution because they're looking for distribution to try to grow their numbers in the first place. But I do
Yeah,
think
Well, that's why I
I do
started
I
with you got to have an audience first.
yeah.
Audience. Then it could be used for
yeah,
distribution. But if you don't have an audience,
yeah,
I 100% agree with you.
What's
Just
what's a
yeah.
good benchmark from y'all perspective?
in terms of what?
Um,
What do you mean?
Audience size before you can start to do some of those things you mentioned, Trey.
I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe that has answer. I'm not sure off the top of my head.
I mean, I think it depends. I think it depends on the audience that you're trying to go after. It could be 100 people. You know what I'm saying? I think it depends
Yeah,
on the
big.
audience, and it really depends on like the content, the information, like what you're trying to get across. Every podcast doesn't work for every single area. Like I think about like culture, and music, for example. There's a ton of people in that space. Now, yeah, everybody has a different way that they're going about it, but there's a ton of people in that space. Nevertheless, same in sports. Been a ton of sports podcasts that are popping up, and so like sometimes oversaturation just drowns out the market, right?
Yeah.
But like I was just as a quick aside, I was listening to one podcast and they were talking about this guy who has a newsletter for farmers. Actually, I think you actually was talking about it too, Brylan. The guy that has a newsletter for farmers. He has thousands of farmers that are daily reading his newsletter. I mean, he could definitely probably start a podcast. Like, you know what I'm saying? But that's a very, very niche, very, very specific audience that, maybe that doesn't work on the scale of like a Spotify, where Spotify would want to sponsor and everything like that. But, could he engage his audience through a podcast in a meaningful way and engage them in a way that, he could funnel other stuff? If he could do it through a newsletter, I can't see why I can't work through the audio.
Yeah.
So that's how I think about it.
I I also think that when I look at some of the biggest podcasts, and every podcast is different. That's one of the beauties of the podcast space is that it's really open to creativity, kind of like this new form of like a show, I guess. And I would say that like one thing that is that I see some people fall into is that the podcast is their full time job, and so therefore when they lose those when they don't have those key pieces of focusing on their audience, and they're depending on these big ad dollars or sponsors, like they're depending on tech to come through with certain deals. When they don't have that, it's really difficult to stay full time on that, and I think because like you need that, and I think that a lot of what I see some of the podcasts that are like almost like top in my mind, they already have stuff going on and they're doing the podcast and they're taking it serious, but that is not their full time jobs. Therefore, they get all the fruits of it without having to really taint it like in a certain way. They can, I think that's like part of the beauty of what we can do is that we have this is not our full time thing, and so. That allows us to go longer and go the distance. Because when I look at Joe Rogan, he went the distance in episodes, because he had all these other things going on. People didn't expect him to be insightful. They just found out over time that he was insightful and whatnot. And then, Joe, those times when he had less leverage, but he always acted like, man, you know what? I'm not going to depend on this. I'm going to depend on my fans and et cetera. And so I'm seeing the people that, kind of put everything and trying to be full-time podcaster. I'm seeing it hurt them a lot more than it would hurt. But then we look at All In, they're more like us, where it's like, we have a different.
Yeah, I think podcasting to me feels like esports, right? Where everybody's doing it, everybody engages in it. There's people listening with it, like the audience is there, but there's just no fucking money in it. There is no money in esports. Like there's just zero. Like there's just not. And
everybody doesn't know that.
And I don't think there's any money. Like people that understand the industry know that. You know what I'm saying? People that know the industry know that, but they may not say that, but they know that. Like they know where.
That's why we have you on the podcast.
You know what I'm saying? And I think the same. And I think it's the same in the podcast space. Like you got to just follow the money. Like there's just no money in it. Yeah. So if you're trying to go full time on an industry where there's no money in the space, like that's just a difficult. That's like a difficult.
But they were
position to be in. You know what I'm saying? No, I commend it, but I'm just saying like that's just the reality. So that's why I say like you got to have ancillary things lined up. You got to have other other businesses. I think about Earn Your Leisure. If Earn Your Leisure podcast stopped today, they still have InvestFest. They still have content courses, a host of other stuff.
He still has his,
exactly. Club Shay Shay, same thing. So I just think about those people that have other things lined up. And then, like you said, the podcast is just a nice layer on top to help boost and amplify what they're already doing. So, that's what I would say. But it's just like esports. Like, it's no money in this space. Like, it's just no money in space.
Yeah, and with that being said, because of that, you have to just I think the people who do the distance who do the marathon get the most out of it. It's just but if you have to do it full time, it'll be hard to do that marathon. You're not you're going to be able to do a sprint for 2 years, and then the whole game will change. And
the good thing is we talk a lot about these AI tools, and AI tools make
I'm peeping that
make the content space a lot more easier. But speaking of content, though, where there does seem to be money in, Brylan, we was talking about it a little bit before the show. Reddit got this crazy deal that they signed. I believe it was with Google. think it was like $200 million, $250 million paid out over what, 5 years, maybe 10 years. I think it's 5 years actually. Is that right? By Google to license content, or what published? It was like either them or OpenAI. I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah.
Hey, wait, hold on. That's a conflict of interest. Sat can't do that. Sat can't do that.
Yeah,
do y'all can't do that?
Yeah, it was 60. It was 60. 60
OpenAI?
a year.
$60 million a year, right?
Yeah.
Google
yeah.
Or
Okay.
OpenAI?
Yeah.
Google.
Okay, so yeah, it's with Google. Yeah, I thought I couldn't remember what was with OpenAI or not, but I think they might have signed something as well, but I don't know. But anyway, for this context, you're talking about Google. Anyway, Reddit signed this content deal with Google. This gonna pay them out what $250 million over the course of several years. That's a pretty big deal to simply just connect the fire hose, to put it simply, and just kind of turn on the water and just let it run. And so, yeah, while there doesn't seem to be money in podcasting, there definitely seems to be money in licensing your data to these big ass platforms that want to train their models and want to do whatever else they're trying to do with that information. And so Reddit is one of many platforms, I'm sure, it is having that conversation. We know that the New York Times has an active lawsuit against OpenAI for apparently encroaching on their data. And so I expect that case to settle, and I expect them to come to some content agreement with them as well. But yeah, a lot of content platforms, whether it's traditional news outlets like a New York Times, like a CNN, like a Fox News, or some of these digital first platforms like a Reddit, are having these interesting content discussions. What do y'all think about that?
I love Reddit. I think it's a gold mine of data. That's why I'm beyond it. I look at myself. There's no way to say this without sounding nerdy. As an AI agent, metaphorically, and so therefore I love Reddit because it has all the data you need. I think that the deal with Google is a clear one that they will be foolish to let anybody else pick up, because they all got to do is look at search results or search queries and see people type in Reddit either before their search or after their search. And the New York Times thing, I think they're just trying to stay alive, but it's a good move, and they probably will settle like Dre said. It buys them more time. I don't know. I do see challenges for them. I see challenges for things like the New York Times and stuff like that. And the world that we're going in, there's a lot of fog. There's a lot of fog, I think, from my view. Go ahead.
So speaking on the world that we're going into, I guess
Yeah.
a question I have is, what's the trend here? Like, we have a few data points. Where are we seeing this going? And more importantly, is it above the mean, or is it below what we would expect to be seeing on an average basis? Like, yeah, kind of what are we seeing here?
Well, why don't you answer that position, right? Because I painted the picture of what's happening today, right? Which is these platforms are trying to sign these license agreements to license their data today, right? Reddit is doing that right now today. So were we going 5 and 10 years into the future? You tell me. I would assume like platforms like Reddit, that is a living, breathing hive of information. So I imagine the data that Reddit has today versus 5 years from now will be much more. And so that data could still be relevant and still be valuable potentially, right? But I don't know. What do you think? What do you think we're going towards?
I think this is going to end up looking a lot like how we see many markets play out. We start with the enterprise, and then eventually we work our way down to the smallest thing, which is the person. And I'm just like, today it's these big, large deals that are being done, and tomorrow it's going to be, hey, you can sign into this website and sell your information. Like,
Brylan, you beat me to the fucking punch, yo.
Like,
you beat me to the
writing
fucking
is
punch.
on the wall, bro.
The writing's on the wall. They owe people fucking money. They owe money.
Yeah.
Look, because what I'm seeing is this. Dre painted a great picture. These big entities, they looking like, yo, look, we gonna need something for what y'all using this data for. It's coming from us. So give us a check. And guess who's next in line? It's us. Because AI and all this stuff don't exist without us participating in this big
Facts.
ass social experiment. People are going to
But
need some type
See,
of payment.
I
It's gonna be
don't see that. I
complicated.
don't see that
It's gonna
happening.
be
I don't see that.
complicated.
I
but
don't
hold
see
up,
that
but
part
Oh
hold up.
no,
happening.
no,
I
it
don't see
has
that
to.
part
But
Oh, it
happening.
has to. It
I
has
do
to.
see. I do see the ability for Brylan said to it'll be easier, like you said. Maybe OpenAI will do it. You just plug in and you can easily sell your data, and we'll just pay you monthly. It'll make it as seamless as possible. I could see that reality, but I
Yeah.
can't see consumers getting paid for their information. Like I just can't see that. Like no,
What
not
type of
especially
I'm
not
gonna keep it. I'm
not in
gonna keep it a
America.
stack with you.
Not
I'm
in
gonna keep it a
America.
stack with you.
No,
Yo, so you're
Blockchain,
not
bro.
saying it's right or wrong.
Blockchain.
You're just saying it's not in America.
bro. Why would a corporation pay you for your data for what?
No, let me tell you. Okay,
And if they do pay you,
not.
it's gonna be like how music is gonna be like how the music
I
platforms
know,
pay
I know,
artists.
I know. It's
It's gonna be
penny
so
pennies.
it's gonna be so minimum. It's gonna be disrespectful. It's like, bro, if you get 10 cents a month, like, bro, do you care about that? Like, what's 10 cents gonna do,
Yes, give me my money, Nick. Give me my
bro?
yes. I care about
You
that
want
10
your 10
cent. Give
cent?
me that
All right,
shit. Give me
that's
my 10
all right.
cent, yo.
But
Yo,
I don't. I
cause
Save
think
my
collect
that
shit.
that
It's
shit,
gonna cost more to process that shit.
No.
this is the thing though. This is the thing though. I think the decision is going to be based on quality of data. If for these models, like there potentially is a reality where for these models to reach AGI or go past that, like it may
Yeah,
need a different form of data, and in terms of like what it's looking for. And so I think it's going to be based off the quality of data that's necessary at that point in time. That's where that market is going to go if you build models.
Yeah,
so let me do my best to try to do the space thinking here, because I see what y'all saying. I see Dre's point too about the art, like how it will be the artist. Like I can see that too. It will be petty. It'll be petty. Um, but
Dre
what I
likes the
can't
petty,
help.
bro.
no, I'm just saying that's
No,
how it is,
Dre,
bro.
no, Dre don't want no Dre. No, Dre is like keeping it more so like this is how America be operating.
Bro,
I don't think
I've worked at these, bro.
yeah.
I've worked at these product teams, bro, and I understand the legal language that they place in these terms of service. They have
Yeah,
zero intention of ever giving you anything for your information. As far as they're concerned, that information belongs to them. Every single tech
I hear
company
you.
believes that. So like that's why I'm like, yeah, I can't see them giving that up. That's like them
The
giving up
only
intellectual property. Why would they give that up?
no, because this is what I think. I know, I hear you. No, they wouldn't. There's no this is what I'm saying. I'm not saying they're gonna give it up just because they just feel bad. Like I
Yeah,
think there's gonna be a moment. I think there's gonna be a moment where people realize they have been used
yeah,
because this is what I think. I'm seeing way too many. I'm seeing a lot of efficiency, which is good
yeah.
which is good, but which is bad for people though. You have literally you can call a fully autonomous car in Los Angeles, no driver. You can do that. Like you can. Journalists are sweating. Will I have a job? Fund managers sweating. Will I have a job? People start like so. All I'm seeing is some inevitable, and then you see Sam talk about trillions of dollars and AGI, and then Google 1.5 Gemini. All I can think of is whether or not people are upset right now or not. They will be upset when they can't pay the bills. When they hit their side of the market, people are gonna, and it's because what Sam has done and what he has done is he's put a wrench in the shit. He put a wrench in the shit,
Well, that's a
and now
whole. Well,
everybody
see, that's
gotta.
a whole different view. Now you're talking about when they can't pay the rent. Now you're talking about a whole. You
No,
taking
no,
it to
but
a
that's
whole
where it leads
different
to.
level.
But you asked me where it goes to.
But
You asked me where it goes to.
that's a whole different level. I don't know if I share
That's where
that
it goes
same.
to.
But I don't know if I share that same view necessarily that AI is here to wipe out jobs to the point where it doesn't replace them. I don't take that view. I take the view that this technology is just like any other technology. You know what I'm saying?
Bro,
Like cars
bro,
didn't take, cars just replaced the
bro.
buggy, but it didn't necessarily make the need to get to a place necessarily obsolete.
Oh, that's
So
true. That's true. That's
so
true. That's true.
yeah,
That's
so
true.
I just think about
But
just a shift. I think what we're going through right now is just like a reallocation of labor, a reallocation of talent, a reallocation of resources,
yeah,
right? And I think the next century, 200 centuries, 300 centuries, just the reallocation of talent and resources will just look fundamentally different. Uh,
that's true. But I don't. I think that's true. I don't think that negates though. When I say because I think we're on the same page because I don't. I think that we're going to see new jobs, people be retrained, and what I'm thinking though is that in the short term, there's displacement. And I can't help but see people feel uneasy and not knowing what to do with the change.
But
You know what I'm saying?
where's that happening though in the short term? I'm just not like,
Oh,
where's that happening?
one example. One clear example was Uber, right? So Uber, for example, they had to they already been raising prices or whatever, right?
Yep.
We all see, like, we are the type of people that when Uber was 2 years old, we already thought about autonomous cars. We're not talking about us. We're
Yep.
talking about everybody else. Now, the drivers pretty much across the country, even when I was at Brylan, this is a conversation, drivers around the country pretty much like, look, we want to get paid more, right? And so they get paid more, right? And so, for example, in a place like DC, they got paid more, so Uber's like, okay, cool, like, fuck it, and they didn't want to do it at first, but because they knew on the other side what they would do. They added extra $5, right, to like Rise in DC. I'm just gonna keep it small, but for the example, Rise in DC, right? And so what happened is now Uber drivers are like, yo, we're not getting as much work, right? And so all I'm saying is we're going to see that happen times every place that we can look at. And so when you have, like, for example, the writer strike is similar in my mind, where it's like, okay, look, we need more money for what we're doing. We need this. It just so happens, though, that right as we get in this new deal, there's technology that will shift the whole way that the whole thing's being done. So what I'm saying is that I think we can arrive at the same place, which is that there's a brand new future and everybody will have a place in it. But in the interim, it seems like it's a bumpy road. Hold on. And I think that people will respond in ways that we don't. I think people will respond in certain ways. Like, we saw the strikes, we saw these things. People are kind of coming out and saying, like, we don't have enough. And then here's the thing, though. So they go to these services and then they hustle, but it's still not enough. And then they strike on the service, or they strike with their companies and they try to get more money. But then the company's like, well, we can't pay y'all because that's not in the model. And then not only that, they couldn't do it with the traditional model, and it's also getting more efficient.
Yeah.
So then there's this static in this. That's what I'm kind of talking about, which is like this, like that gap in that part where everybody has to adjust. Because I believe. I have no choice to believe the optimistic view, because the bad view is bad.
Yeah.
The bad view is bad.
You know what's crazy about this though is, has there ever been another period of time when like a technology, like think about it, like AI right now is about to replace what's on the road. Like AI is about to replace a lot of
and the robotics. Yeah.
No, yeah, I'm talking about robotics when it comes to just like building physical things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then at the same time, it's knocking out knowledge workers. Like it's very interesting.
Yeah, I know, right? Normally, knowledge workers are knocking everybody else out. Now it's like you might get knocked out of your spot.
Yeah, but
now that feels different.
But I think that short term view though is overblown. I really do think it's overblown. Because
hold up.
No, because but I haven't fired a single person due to AI though. I have not let a single person go because of like. No, but I haven't made. But let me finish. I haven't let a single person go and be like, "Hey, I'm about to replace your job fully with AI." I haven't done that. I have not seen a single public company, let go of a bunch of people and say, "You know what? It's because AI is about to fully replace your job, fully replace it." Maybe there's internal restructure because there's duplication of roles. They don't need it. Blah blah blah. We already know companies trim fat, and the reason why they say it can be different from the reality. But look at the earnings. We're hitting record earnings at companies. So like the economy is not, what I'm saying? It's not in the cliff dive. But I think it's overblown in terms of like AI replacing jobs to that level of fear that people have. Even in autonomous driving, like there's so much other shit that has to get right before Uber drivers are replaced. It's not even just the intelligence. Like you got to get over the hardware. You got to get over regulation. Every single state, every single county. Like there's so much stuff. And so when we talk about the short term, I think we got to really plan it in reality, because there's so many other layers, and people just hear the title AI and they'll just be like, "Oh, it's taking my job." But it's like, no, there is no AI right now that is strong enough to fully take over a knowledge worker job end to end. Like I'm talking about complex knowledge worker, like completely take over the role of a PM. Sure, like you could put up a product requirements and shit like that, but I'm talking about end to end, no human intervention, no observation, no nothing. It just doesn't exist right now. So we're just far
Yes.
away from that future. By the time we get there, going back to what I
You
was
think
saying,
so?
which is I think is we are going back to what I think is a reallocation of resources. Yeah, some jobs will get knocked down. Just like if you go back in the history of time, there were jobs that existed 100 years ago that don't exist today. But there are a bunch of new jobs that exist today that didn't exist 100 years ago. And so I think it's just that same cycle that we're going through. It's just another technology. We're just going through another cycle. Yes, we're going to
Yeah.
burn the bridge on some
But
jobs, but there's going to be a birth of new jobs that are going to come through. And what those jobs are, we don't know right now because we aren't in that future just yet.
I agree.
That's I
So
think
so so
the better view,
so
not the like,
so
oh, AI is about to
so
wipe me out today.
so
Like,
so
no.
no, no. So here's the thing, though. I don't think people are thinking AI is going to wipe them out. I think that people get met with situations that that come from better efficiency. You know what I'm saying? If we're saying it's like we like look, and also I don't want to make it just about AI because when you
Sure.
make it just about AI, it does make it be unreasonable. Look, I'm seeing the convergence of three primary technologies, um, uh, spatial computing slash mixed reality, robotics, and AI. With those three things, and the timing of them is not good. Like if it was just I would feel less, but it feels like it's AI, robotics, and mixed reality slash spatial computing. It feels like three technologies at once hitting now. And and what that means is that all different, for example, autonomous cars more than just AI. And also too, when I see the deal with BMW doing these robots, like I'm like, that's dope. They're going to be more efficient, but clearly somebody's not going to be that the most happy about the what's inevitably coming for them if they are currently working at BMW in the factory. You know, and so I don't want to. What I don't want to do is spread fear more so, but I want people to be
Mhm.
proactive. You know, and I think that what I don't see is proactiveness. I think you see the Uber driver who rides past the autonomous vehicle and doesn't think much about it until that day comes, and then Uber is like, "Yo," so it's just look.
But I think they do think much about it. And I think the thing they think is that it will replace their job. I think they believe that. And they are right.
So are they right for
I'm
trucking?
not saying they're wrong. They are right for
Yeah.
thinking that it will replace their job. It will. But I'm going back to the separation of short term versus long term. In the short term, I don't think that is a reality in Uber driving. I don't think it's a
Oh
reality
no,
in many knowledge
not right
work.
now. No, 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 not right now.
So
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying. I think in the short term, but in terms of the long term, sure, yeah, the Uber driver will be
yeah,
irrelevant. But
yeah.
however, I think there'll be a brand new gig economy that'll pop up that we just have never seen before. Just like at one point in time, should you go
I'm
back 50
praying.
years, there was no Uber, right? You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so, but I do think though, like the average
Yeah.
worker, when I talk to, I mean, I don't talk to everybody, but like I talk to people
Mm-hmm,
typically not in the tech field
mm-hmm,
about
mm-hmm.
AI, and they do have this like, I don't know the right word for it, but like this, I don't know, like singularity type view about AI, like this type of this perspective that like it's this all intelligent being, this like about to replace a bunch of stuff, like. I talk to many people that actually do hold that view. They may not know the tools and like the shit that's going to be used against them necessarily, right? But when they hear the term AI, they do think like, oh shit, that shit
Okay.
does have the potential to like wipe me out. Not wipe me out, but like
Yeah.
replace me.
Let me
Replace me.
Is everybody
I want to
equally
add
prepared
something to this.
though? Is
No,
everybody
No.
prepared equally?
no.
And I feel like that's where the conflict comes into play. Like everybody's not prepared for like.
So
Mm.
I'm gonna provide some color there. So Saturday, um, I was at a conference at Morehouse, speaking on AI, bro,
Yeah, it's
and
big.
it was a good audience, about 200 folks or whatever. And this lady actually had this question. She came up to me and she asked it, but her question was, she was a professor and she was like looking in this room. Most of these people were later stage, like millennials, Gen X, older folks. Like here we are on a college campus and there were no like Gen Z. And she had also spoke to The fact that like that's just something she's observed as well in her class. And so I found that to be very interesting. Just because like that ain't the case over here at Northwestern. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they showing up to that stuff. And so that just got me
Yeah.
thinking, and I mean, I don't want to make any assumptions, but like, what does that look like on a class level? What does that look like on a, you know, race-based level? Like, because I
Yeah.
don't think it's not going to evenly
It's not
impact
evenly,
all of us.
yeah. I get the sense that's part of the
That's true.
thing too. Um, and um, and and I think it's hard sometimes to discern a little bit in these times right now because you know because you don't want to over worry because then you won't do what you need to do today to make sure you're good for tomorrow. You know, but at the same time, you don't want to be blindsided. Um, and then, so for example, I talked to somebody that who's currently like working on some deals with doing a show with like some big time names. Like I think one of them was like Fox or something like that. Just like and it was in he's in the unscripted thing. He has a production company doing that stuff, and he saw Sora and stuff like that. And so he's like, look, our strategy is going to be long. They're going to be streaming. We're going to be and I was like, oh, that's actually interesting. That's an interesting insight. Actually, and also when I heard him say that, it made me give confidence in that individual because I was like, in his world, in his worldview, he's already circumvented because you're not going to be getting no streaming from AI for a very long time. I can tell you that. I don't give a fuck what Sora doing. You're not going to get no streaming, and you're not going to get me, Brylan, and Dre how we would be in our mannerisms, everything with AI in a short period of time. And let's also try to define it a little bit. When I say short term, sometimes I can get a little vague with it. Um, I would say that in 5 years, there's a short term, and then maybe the long term would just simply 10. 5 years, I'm starting to look at the way things will be in 5 years based on what I'm seeing today. I'm not rushing to hop onto a lot of these things. I'm not rushing to get a Vision Pro. I'm not rushing to hop into the autonomous car. I'm not rushing to do a lot of these new things. But what I can see is the converging, and I see the signs of things starting to change. And it seems as though the change is unsettling for some people, and that is, the thing there. And I think that if people maybe were more educated, or had some of these, I don't know, like you say they're not showing up. I think part of it with young people is that one, I feel like they're kind of bored into this. I think you guys understand, like people who were born in 2000, like they're living it up. Like they're
Yeah.
not getting licensed. They're not getting a license. They grew up with Uber. They did this. They like what, like, even I was talking about like the what 18 represents in our mind today. I'm sorry, no, today is different than what it represented when we were all growing up. 18 represented freedom and doing this and more responsibility, and we were trying to grow up. It feels like now it's like there's some skills that are kind of like taken care of, which is kind of a good thing, right? Like we are taking care of certain things like driving. We're taking care of certain things like certain complex, problems that too many humans got to come together to kind of resolve. We're taking care of those things. On the other end, there's that like people who maybe it affects like maybe we're more jarred. Maybe older people are more jarred. I don't know. I feel like younger people are kind of just like in the moment. They're streamers, they're doing certain things. They're kind of like, I don't know if they really look at it like anything different. I think
No,
us
I
being
think
like in this hybrid place.
no, I'm gonna be honest. I think one perspective I'm starting to form is this bitch might actually end up turning out to look like the calculator, man. And what I mean by that is, like,
Yes,
bro,
I've been
think
thinking about
about
that.
it.
I've been thinking about that.
Calculators are like widely available to anybody.
Yes,
Like there
yes,
can't really be no difference between my calculator and your calculator, besides like you just went and bought a different type of calculator. And
yeah.
it feels like what comes down to, like, with the skills
Damn.
of using a calculator is, do you know how to use that bitch?
Yep.
Yeah, and that's
Like the
also that's also
application.
Yeah, I agree.
that's
That's
I agree
I
with
like the
that.
way you
Yeah.
said that though, but it
yeah.
also made me a little sad. Cause everybody don't got that advanced calculator. I remember you had to get that extra. You had to remember, you know how you had that basic calculator. Everybody got that the graph phone with the. You know how we gonna sound. I don't know if we gonna sound old or not. I don't know who's listening, but you know how you start off with the basic calculator, which is the basic stuff or whatever. Then you look over to your right, and someone got the graph calculator. They plotting stuff on the graph. They doing and then you look at the price tag. You're like, damn, I can't we don't. I don't know.
That's a good point you bring, Brylan, because that reminds me of something. I was just on my walk this morning listening to an interview that the CEO of NVIDIA was giving. I think he was at the Columbia School of Business giving a talk. It was like 2 weeks ago. If somebody goes searches it on YouTube. And it was a pretty generic talking about the history of NVIDIA and some of the proprietary things they're doing. But one thing he said that really stood out to me is that, and I totally agree with this frame of thinking, is like, people should not be afraid of AI replacing their jobs. What they should be afraid of is people who know how to use AI replacing their jobs. Right. And I think it goes back to what you just said, which is like, if you understand how to leverage these tools, when you come into an organization, you're just way much more valuable, right? You can add way more value. And that only starts to amplify as the tools become better, as the tools become more efficient, right? As they need maybe less oversight. But today and for the foreseeable future, they need oversight. They need human intervention. They need human knowledge.
They do.
And so, yeah.
But if we're going to be honest, though, I think in totality, like there's a high percentage chance that like they'll always need human
I do think so.
I believe that.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm saying that is like because think about it. In order for AI to even be like out here, it needs humans. Like humans have to adopt it. Humans have to put it in your hand. Like
right.
Yeah.
And so there would have to be such a drastic policy change for us to say we are giving over our human trust to this thing that, like, I don't know. So
I'm 100% with you on that, bro. And that's why I don't share the view that is like this thing that like is often portrayed for it to be, right? I think it is it's a lever. It's a hell of a lever. And I do agree with the CEO of NVIDIA. Like the thing you should be afraid of is that person who does understand how to leverage these tools to do their job 10x better than the way you do your job. Because that will become valuable. I ain't gonna
lie.
I'm saying that y'all can't compete. That's what I'm trying to tell everybody on the audience. I'm saying y'all can't compete with me. I'm trying to explain. Y'all should be worried about. I'm trying to warn y'all. Like, look at my company. I'm a hacker trying to sell security tools. I'm trying to warn y'all. I'm straight. like what I'm trying to say is, me with AI is a problem. Y'all need to see the value in this before you feel me? Like, because it's not gonna be good. I don't like, but Dre, you actually interesting enough. You dropped the thing about Tyler Perry. What do you? By the way, did you guys watch the Tyler Perry movie?
I haven't watched it. I haven't watched it.
Okay. Brian, you watched it? Yeah. Okay, I'm not gonna say too much.
No, don't say anything.
No. I gotta say no. I know. I won't give it up. I won't give it up. All I'll say is, trust me, I won't give it up. Trust me. I trust me. I got you, Dre. Brylan, why does Tyler Perry do this? And you know what I'm talking about. That's all we gotta say. Why does he do this? Why does he do this, man? Yo, watch it, Dre, so that we can talk. But why
I'm gonna watch it.
It's something that Tyler Perry does, and it's like, bro, why do you do this? Anyways, speaking more to what you had put to the chat, Tyler Perry froze hiring. Now, we're not changing our hiring decisions right now on AI and certain things like that. But Tyler Perry has something to say. What do we think about what Tyler Perry is talking about? Like with the studios and whatnot, like is that legit, or is he just like kind of like just saying like he kind of like just coming out of pocket and kind of like, because I've heard some criticism like, well, he wasn't paying, he was doing 10 roles before anyway. So I don't know.
Well, I think the article is more so about like a halt on the expansion of his existing studio. So the studio is already there. Like he's already heavily invested in that from just a capital expenditure standpoint. That's there. Yeah. But I think specifically like there were planned expansions. I don't know exactly what the expansions are. I don't think the article mentioned exactly what they were. I think like additional sound stages, like lots, like, the whole, like literally setting up physical infrastructure to be able to shoot movie scenes. Like if you go down to his lot, I think he has like several thousand acres down in the Georgia area.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's pretty insane. Like he has like full soundstage
crazy.
studio lots, like a real White House replica, like a real replica of a mansion, like a post office, like a jail, like, you know, real replica, like physical buildings that have to be constructed
real world stuff.
real world stuff. And so I think these expansion plans were to further build out this Tyler Perry world, essentially, where other studios, and not even just Tyler Perry, but Marvel, like Disney, for example, shot some of Marvel on Tyler Perry Studios. Like tons of other movie companies and production companies rent out studio space on Tyler Perry Studios. So it's a rental business for him as well. So these expansions, you know, obviously can help bring in more revenue. But it looks like he's putting it on pause because of, you know, he's saying because of what he's seeing in AI and just, you know, wanting to cut back on some of those actual capital investments and physical infrastructure, because he's like, shit, if we can do this with, if we can just generate this with AI, then like this can fill in a lot of the gap.
But to your point earlier, that's not happening in the short term, bro. Like,
so why is he talking?
Especially when it comes to video.
So what? So what is that? Is that his scapegoat? Maybe it's something else, and that's just
no. I think he's going to end up being right in the long term. But
okay,
and like,
okay, I got you.
I feel like the best way to probably look at this is that 800 million, like basically amortize that over a few years. Like if you were to keep it a stack, and so like in the long term, it's going to look like a good decision. But I think I'm curious to. If we were to have him on the podcast and ask him, like, hey, explain what's up. Like,
I do want to know what
can you get me to believe that, like, like this is things are going to replace that? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think we'll see. I think there's a lot of technology that's used that's being used in the film industry right now that's showing some promising results that have broad potential, right? Because to put it in context, when you're trying to shoot a movie, like it takes hundreds, if not thousands of people to make a movie. Like it's a lot, right? To just get one scene, it's a lot of work, a lot. So I think Tyler Perry, I think while, you know, we're a very long ways away from being able to shoot an entire scene just fully based on fully generated AI. But I mean, I think if you could start to fill in the gaps where maybe can you fill in 10% of a movie with
background, like the background people.
Yeah, can you fill in 10%? Can you fill in 20%? You know, I think if you can start to chip away at the percentage, then you can start to see how you can actually save some money. If I can do 10%, you know, AI, and that helps us save $5 million in budget, you know, there's an argument on like wanting to leverage this more and trying to push that envelope to figure out, okay, how do we go from 10% to 15 to 20 to 30? So I don't know if Tyler Perry is under the assumption that he'll go to like 100 right now, but I do think all film studios are looking at incrementally phasing out different parts of the production with machines. And I mean, I think that's the right way to think about it. I think any organization is probably taking that same approach.
Right. What I want to let the audience know, Dre is a ruthless capitalist. Dre is a ruthless. He said, "Oh, 1%, 5%, 10%." Before I know it, I don't need it.
That's how I would think about that shit. I'm like, how do we get to 100?
But then Dre tells everybody not to worry. He about to. Dre said 1%, 5%, 10%.
I know that's how they thinking about it, especially Tyler Perry. Nigga, they've been tight on the bottom line.
Dre said, "Don't worry. Overtime, I'll replace everybody." Look. So let me ask you, because it's interesting hearing some of the things, Dre. Because Dre, you worked at Disney. You know what I'm saying? Even in esports, you dropped like you said, there's no money in esports. When you said that, I'm like, that's something that somebody who works at esports would say. I don't know there's no money in esports. Like I'm on the outside. I don't know. Like to me, it seems like there's plenty of money in esports. Right. I can't. Like I wouldn't know. So for example, is people like Disney, and I don't want to say like Disney itself as the company's entirely worried, because I don't want to that's making it too big. I'm more so. Is there some aspect of teams within Disney that are like, this can affect our content, but the generation of certain content, because I'm seeing the mid journeys getting a lot better. I'm seeing the Sora. I'm seeing the potential. It's not there. And also, I had this insight last night. I think flaws are important. Like, and I don't think AI is good with flaws. Like, when AI has flaws, it'd be like a finger popping out someone's eye, or something. Like, it'd be like weird. But but there's flaws in everybody. There's mannerisms in people's acting. Like when you have an actor, their mannerisms might carry over to another movie, etc. And I don't know, like it seems like we're a while
What?
from AI being able to do that. So I can't see it replacing people for a while because like it seems like it'll be too perfect. So it'd be like too smooth, too like.
So what I would say to that, I think the missing piece right now, rather if it like regardless across like mode, text, video, whatever, is steerability. Like we
Oh yeah,
really can't like
yeah,
once
yeah.
again,
That little
it's
that
it's like a
discernment part. Adam's
tractor.
yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
need to be able to tell it exactly what we want and
It's
get it
like
out predictably. And so like how do you turn something that's irrational and unpredictable into something predictable? I think that's the challenge that is going to need to be figured out because depending on the certain type of decision that's required for that machine to make.
Right.
Like I that's why like I do like Dre's point around like the human is going to be in the loop somehow.
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. And to
So
answer your question, though,
yeah,
I don't think Disney's worried at all. In fact, if I'm Disney, this is an opportunity, right? Because
yes,
again, to do a movie
it
like
is.
Marvel, let's just put it in context, right? To do a movie like Endgame, for example, that might cost that's $100+ million to make, probably 100 to
Yeah,
150 million dollars. That is a
yeah,
massive capital expenditure for that movie. Now, that's not a big bet for Disney. That's not a big risk for Disney because they understand that Marvel has a draw. If they do anything, Avengers, like people are gonna come out and they're gonna make $1 billion off of that. So that's not a big deal for them. But there are a ton of other movies that Marvel does do, or Disney in general, where they're putting 50, 30, 40, 80, 70 million
yeah,
dollars into movies, and then the returns are not necessarily as strong as that $1 billion outcome. And so
yeah.
the way Disney kind of look at this is like, if they can leverage this technology in order to reduce the cost again of making a film, that is in their best interest. Now that doesn't necessarily mean in terms of like reducing labor. It can literally mean reducing time. Like if it takes a year to make Endgame, and now you start to leverage some of these tools, like the team, the thousands of people that work on this film are able to leverage these tools in different capacity in their workflow. And now you could take the film process from 12 months to 10 months. You still need the same people, but you've literally just cut it from 12 to 10. That could literally save a ton of millions of dollars. And so that's how
That's true.
Disney is starting to think about it, is like, again, it goes back into taking it into a workflow, which is, can I give this tool to an editor and can this make them, 20% more efficient, 10% more efficient at their job? And if that's the case, if we're pumping $1 billion to our content budget, or actually it's more than that, Disney probably spends $20 billion a year on content, 20 billion on content. Again, 20 billion with a B. That is a shit ton of money on content. So if they can start to shave away, think about what that does to their gross margin. They start to have better margins on content. That means content is more valuable to them, is more profitable to them. That also helps boost their business bottom line. So I think Disney and every studio is excited about this technology. The people who are not excited are probably the actors, but it's not. Disney is excited, and I can tell you the people internally at Disney are probably excited because now they got new toys to play with, right? They're needed more than ever because Disney wants this shit to work in order to bring those costs down.
So so do you see another conflict with actors coming up?
I don't know. I really don't know much about that contract agreement with the what is it, the Actors Association or
Yeah,
whatever. In the film. I
yeah,
really don't know, but yeah, I'm
mm-hmm.
not sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I think the next issue is actually going to happen between a content provider like Disney and potentially one of these AI research labs that already have, spent the money, built the infrastructure to have a Sora. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like, because it's going to be like, okay, is that relationship going to look a lot more like, Reddit, where they're paying Reddit to get the data, and so they're paying Disney, to be able to get the data and train a general? Or is that more so like an enterprise relationship where Disney is paying them? Like, where is the power going to lie?
Yeah, I'm
Who's
trying to
going to
figure
be the
out where
guy
the
who's going
like
to
the
get stuck?
leverage points are. I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, I think I'm with you in like trying to. And that's why I feel like there's fog and it's
Because
stuff that we're still
Netflix is
all
probably going
figuring
to try to
out.
build it internally. Don't let an
Oh,
open source model get it. But does
Netflix is
Disney
gonna
have
try
that
to have
technical
a
talent
full
like that,
J
Dre?
show.
What do you mean like build it internally? Build like some AI that could just like make a movie? Is that what you mean? Like,
I can see.
Yeah,
My
they'll try that. They'll
perception of
try that.
Netflix is and this is based
They'll
off
try a
Victor, and
short
so
yeah,
TV.
my thing is they have the talent internally to potentially take one of these open source models,
Yeah.
and like if it was that good, and
right.
just kind of fine tune it on their existing content. Versus, like, I don't know much about Disney's technical talent to be able to say that the same would be true.
Yeah,
They
we
would
know they're
probably be more in a
creatively
buy
insane,
relationship.
but like the
That's what
technical,
I'm
yeah.
saying.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think even if Netflix did that, I don't think that puts any of the other studios or production companies in obsolete. Again, it's just a cost basis. It just means Netflix can spend the same amount of money and just get more content. And so it's just better for the bottom line. I don't think it makes Disney less relevant because I think people, Disney just has a fan base. People still gonna want Disney content. So I'm not gonna stop watching Disney even if Netflix has some shit just good and it's animated. I'm still gonna go to Disney. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that
Yeah.
matters. But on the technical talent front, bro, Disney has one of the most advanced technical teams out of any of the Fortune 500 companies, bro. And it's not often talked about because they aren't like a Google or a Facebook. But bro, they have real engineers just building real robotics, real technology. I mean, and they're incredibly vertically integrated. I mean, even going back to the early 1900s, I mean, Walt Disney was one of the first to actually use really advanced camera technology in order to produce 3D films. Like that had never been done before. That's a technology advance. And so that's
Animation.
hardware, that's software. Like it's a bunch of stuff that they're doing. I mean, even in their Pixar acquisition, they acquired technology a part of the acquisition. They've acquired a ton of technology companies over the years as well. They
Yeah,
build a lot of shit
yeah.
in house. If you go to the Disney parks, all of the animatronics, all the robotics behind that shit is all built in house. Like they have thousands of people dedicated to building that shit out. So the technical breadth and depth at Disney is really wide, but nevertheless, Disney loves to partner. And so just because they can do anything doesn't mean they will do everything. You know what I'm saying? They'll
Okay.
partner because who doesn't want to partner with Disney, right? Like, I mean, they just have the scale and the distribution. So they may not build it, but they definitely have the capability. But more importantly, they understand how to leverage their IP to get value. I will say Disney understands that better than fucking anybody. They understand how to leverage their library to extract maximum value out of that shit, whether that's licensing it for people to be able to put that shit on t-shirts, whether that's like they're one of the biggest licensing companies in the
So let
world.
me ask this question to you, because think about it. In the case of like Reddit, right?
Yeah.
Reddit is giving up their data to train a general model anybody would be able to use. And so do you see Disney being in that kind of relationship with a potential partner where they give up all their fucking content library,
No,
or even
I don't see
a
that.
piece
No.
I
of it?
don't know if I see that.
Or is it more so to
No,
have
they
their
gonna
own
hold on
thing
to their
internally?
No.
That's
they
what
gonna
I'm
hold on to
trying to
their
get
shit.
And if they did it, what I'm telling you is they would do it through some licensing. That's the way Disney does everything. Like they license. They have thousands of attorneys on staff that literally their responsibility is to how do we license and leverage the Disney IP library. And so they're not giving up anything. They will
Yeah, they're not gonna
license.
do that.
They may license their IP to a creator and say, "Hey, sure, you can go create this short film or you can go create this short animation leveraging our technology," but it's not going to be a matter of where they're going to go monetize that and Disney's not going to see nothing from that. I just don't ever see that world happening because Disney doesn't have to do that. They have the intellectual library and the content and the breadth of library to just do that themselves. They don't have to give away anything.
Hold up. You're hitting on something very important, and I want to hit on this, which is recently when I've been thinking about like the GPT store, I don't think the way that it's been going is the right approach.
Mm.
And
It's strange.
I
It's strange. It's
it
strange.
is. But I've been getting this thought process of like, if they were to sell unique data sets where people could, like, that's what people were buying. So imagine if I was a creator and I wanted to create a Disney film and I wanted to, be able to pull in that data,
it
or
will be
you know what I mean?
advantageous for
Like
them to
there are
get ahead of it.
certain
Yeah, it would be
quality
advantageous.
data
That
sets.
reminds me.
Yeah,
I would probably put
That
some money
reminds
up
me.
to.
and that would be
That reminds
incredibly
me.
valuable, even if Netflix was to do that. Because to your point, they have an incredibly amount of a vast library, so they may use it internally to produce their own content, but they may do it externally. But I think it only makes sense to a licensing agreement where they can still benefit from the monetization of that content. I think that's the only way it makes sense, really.
When we figure out the way to make sure that they can capture, like, so people can't run away, like for example, yes, and like they're like the licensing thing, it kind of reminds me of, for example, when I was growing up, my parents had this franchise business, and it allowed them to sell children's personalized books, and they were able to license characters from, I think, like Disney and all these other places, and the books would be personalized to the kids. And so they would have the stand set up in the mall, and my parents would kids would come up and they would create the books on the spot with the kid's name in it. And so parents love the books. And so that's a form of, like, obviously that was back in the day, so it was physical. So that's a personalized version of people using these characters that people love and see all over the place. And we had to get that. My parents, they had to get licensing for that. They had to get like something for that. They couldn't just pop out and do that. They had to kind of like get like permission almost.
Yeah,
and so I can
and
see that.
Disney's the best at that, bro. They already have the infrastructure in place to do it. They do that now. Like whenever you see like something with Disney's name on it, it is most likely not produced by them. It's produced through a licensing agreement. It's through a licensing
Yeah,
partnership with some other company that just wants to use that. They want to use Mickey Mouse to make T-shirts,
yeah,
right? At Costco, like
yeah.
that's always how it is. It's never really Disney doing it. They're just licensing their content, so they already have the infrastructure. They already have the internal tools in place to monitor how those payments should be split, like all that shit. They already have all that shit already set up, and so I definitely see Disney striking some licensing deals, and probably nothing exclusive because I don't think it makes sense to do anything
Yeah, no,
exclusive.
no, no. They're not
Unless
gonna
it'd
do
be
that. I
something
bet
crazy, like
unless they lost leverage.
maybe if Apple like gave them a crazy
Yeah,
bag or something like that. Honestly, Apple should just buy Disney. I don't even understand why they're even
they
doing
should. Apple should, because Disney has influenced a lot of Apple in general in the history and the Pixar.
that. Yeah,
It's
they're so
they're very
aligned.
close. Yeah, they're very aligned. I got a question, yo. I know we're like, well, so Dre, is part of your view that, like, for example, when I talk about like the Uber driver, for example, right? I say, okay, they raise the price because people want more money. I think people want more money because, for example, cost of living is going, like, people in general would say cost of living is gone up to certain levels, right? And that's creating certain struggles for people. Now, is your view like that, like, for example, that when, because of the efficiency of, like, for example, of some of these technologies, yeah, we might have that transition, but these companies will be more efficient, and then maybe the prices, it might reflect the prices, and then that way, so in a way, it kind of balances out. So if you don't have, so maybe you can't hustle as much because there's not as much demand for being an Uber driver, but the cost of a ride is so cheap that it kind of balances out in maybe in your life a little bit. Is that kind of like your view, like that the market will kind of like become more efficient and then it will reflect in the prices? Because what I kind of almost what it seems like in the short term a little bit, and not I'm not talking about what it is, but what it
Uh,
seems like a little bit is that a lot of the wealth and efficiency is going up to people who have the leverage, and then the prices with individuals, they're running into high prices at the grocery store, high prices at with like, and so are we saying that these companies, when they save money, will also save money,
Nah,
or
nah, 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 nah. I think it's very easy to arrive at that logic. Like, given AI replaces some things and hopefully it reduces some costs. But I think it really depends on the perspective at which that owner or whoever is setting the prices is thinking about this. Like, are they basing their prices based off their costs, or are they pricing this off of value? And as I think the thing about value is, as people's income and discretionary spending increase, or access to credit increase, or just surplus of capital somehow increases along with inflation, um that, like, people are going to continue to rise their willingness to pay.
Yep.
Like, and I think we've just seen that. Like, think about it. Before inflation, I was like, damn, my willingness to pay for some eggs was like $3, bro. Inflation came around. Did I all of a sudden fall out of the market for eggs? No. It was like, cool, my willingness to pay now is $10. And so I think it really depends on like what is the perspective at which they're setting that price. And I don't think many are incentivized to set it to set it off a cost.
Okay, so
That's my
maybe I'm
perspective
talking
on it.
maybe I'm talking more about something not necessarily entirely connected to technology. It could also be more of a federal and more of a finance thing. Because it sounds like you're saying people are just going to adjust the prices, and
People's
I think
prices is going to continue to go up. There are going to be some players that try to compete via
I
cutting
don't,
costs,
I'm not going
like
to lie to you.
like the Frontiers and the
That makes
Spirits.
me
That's what they're going to want to
that
be. But
something like that would make me nervous because if I look at what I see right now, which is that in like this record breaking, just people defaulting on auto loans. Yes, houses are going up as far as like prices and whatnot, but people are not. The commercial buildings are not. WeWork is going bankrupt. The commercial buildings, they're not selling at the certain prices. And I'm looking at that and I'm saying individuals, as individuals who like, I'm wondering about the brackets. Like when people talk about the wealth gaps and whatnot, I'm starting to look at that and say, is it a different world when you're on another side of a bracket? And we know that to be true, but I'm saying, does it get worse, or does it get worse in the world that we're heading in? Because, for example, yeah, okay, I can adjust my price of eggs $3 to $6 in my life. I can do that. But I know that's not the case for everybody in America. And I know and I know certain numbers, for example, like that most people don't even have $5,000 in their account in savings. And I know that I see strikes, I see all these things, and I can't help but think that rising prices is squeezing people. And yeah, you might say that, but then my mind, I'm not gonna lie, what my mind goes to is that Brian is a high net worth individual.
Yeah.
So of course I'm gonna,
but that's why I
yeah.
think that's the beauty of the system, right? And so I think we should not be fearful because we live in a free market economy. And so like in a free market economy, like to Brylan's point, if wages are increasing and willingness to pay is increasing, then like the demand is going to keep going.
I didn't see. I didn't know
but
he
at,
said wages would increase.
but at some point, well, they already have gone up, right? Like wages have already started going up, like across multiple different sectors, right? At least in the past year or so. Like the UAW signed a new contract, the Teamster Union for truckers signed a new contract, restaurant wages are going up in a parallel with costs. I'm not saying that one or the other. I'm just saying both are starting to go up. But nevertheless, to Brylan's point, because we live in a free market economy, like at some point that willingness to pay will stop. And so then at that point, I think the great economy we live in will kick in, and what's going to happen? The demand going to drop, price is going to drop, and then we'll get to some elasticity where it just kind of just makes the most sense.
Yeah. So yeah.
But yeah, but going back to one thing you said about like whether or not if companies be more efficient. Look, I think the truth is, and I think we should I just tend to just stay with what I think like the truth is. I think the truth is this just simply adds more gross margin to a business. I think technology and just making it more efficient just simply adds more gross margin to a business bottom line. And where that business chooses to invest that gross margin will be on that executive team. You know what I'm saying? If you own a stock that's a dividend stock, you might get more dividends. If you own a technology stock like a Google that doesn't issue dividends, I don't believe they issue dividends, then they may invest those into future shit. I don't know.
I see.
But
so do you block
I wouldn't expect
prices
to come down because of the technology though.
So do you block out like that whole crowd of like, because what it sounds like a little bit from you like is that you kind of block out that crowd of like people who are fearful of the middle class kind of going away.
I'm not blocking it out. No,
I'm saying what it sounds like.
No, I'm not blocking it out at all. No, I'm not blocking it out. I just think those people are just misinformed. You know what I'm saying? I just think there's just a misinformation. I think there's just a misinformation campaign. Some of those things can be true at the same time. I consider myself middle class. You know what I'm saying? I consider both me and Nia to be both middle. to be both middle class.
Y'all are a power couple.
Bro, we middle
let's
class,
end the
bro.
podcast.
We middle class,
Let's
bro.
end the
We middle
podcast.
class.
I
We middle
went to your
class,
wedding,
bro.
bro.
We middle class, bro.
That's a good mindset.
You got
good mindset,
no.
bro.
It's the
I love your
no,
fucking
bro.
mindset,
It's the truth, nigga. We are middle class. Trust me.
On paper?
I could tell you some people that just not middle class and
paper?
what it looks like to not be middle class, like above middle class.
Let's talk about paper. Well, hold on, real quick.
Just
ask my question. Paper. On paper.
For
on
sure.
Paper.
Yeah, we middle class. We middle class, bro. We middle class, bro. How am I not, bro? I'm building a small business, I'm building a small business just like you are. How am I not middle class? I'm building a small business just like you are, bro.
No, hold on. I'm not saying. Hold on.
I haven't had no major. I haven't made no. But I'm saying.
I didn't say I was middle class.
But I'm saying though. Okay, well, I consider myself middle class because of that. I'm building a small business. I'm middle class. That's where I consider myself.
What are you? No, bro. Actually, no. Dre has an advantage because he's delusional. No, Dre.
Bro, what class do you think I'm in then? What class do you think I'm in then? What class do you think I'm in?
Upper echelon. You're in the upper echelon.
Define that. Define what that means. Define what that means.
I'll define it, bro. On paper, the fact that you even on paper can say that you have more than 5,000 in your account, that separates you from the majority of the middle class. From my perspective.
No, bro.
Bro, what?
No, bro.
Brother, what's your take? Bro. You middle class?
No, bro.
Dre, you're not seeing. I'm trying to big you up. Bro. You see your wedding, bro?
Bro,
bro. I saw your wedding, bro. I was there.
We need to reclassify what middle class is, bro.
No, see, that's the thing. You want to change the bus.
Bro.
Now you want to change. We gotta be honest.
No, we gotta be honest. We can't set up false pretense. We got people listening to us. For real. We got people listening to us. Let's be truthful. Let's be facts here.
Bro, middle class.
I'm middle class, just like everybody else, bro. I'm not upper echelon. To me, upper echelon is you earning millions of dollars a year. I ain't making millions of dollars a year, bro. That's the difference. That's the difference, bro.
Do you have more than 10,000 in this 10,000?
Yeah,
bro. Can we do perplexity, Brylan? Where'd you go, Brylan? Come back. Where you go? Brylan, come back. Where you go?
Wait, so you think 10,000 is the exit point for middle class, bro? Really? Come on, bro. No. Rodney. Hold on, Rodney.
We got perplexity. We have perplexity. We don't have to even do this. We have perplexity. Brylan, come on. Use it. In this moment, we have it. Brylan, can you use it or do I have to use it? We have, because we want to get to the truth. Brylan, come on. You want to use perplexity or do I got it?
I'm typing it in. Let's see what it
Because
says.
Drake not about to argue that he middle class to me, bro. Not no more. We got out of that, bro. We came to California with big 100K dreams, bro, and we made that shit happen in our 20s.
Okay.
At that time, right? Come on, Brylan. Check these numbers, bro. Come on, let's end this, bro.
So,
let's end this, bro.
Lower middle class has a median net worth of $44,000. Another thing too is that the income, you can also be considered lower middle class if you have an income around $55,000. And then there's middle class. The middle class is defined by a median net worth of $105,000.
So Jay out of it, done.
And then upper middle class is 200.
Why are you lying to these folks?
But upper middle, but you still in middle class though, right?
Oh, yeah. That's what he's doing.
You still in middle class, bro?
That's what he's doing.
So what's beyond upper middle class?
You right?
What's beyond upper middle class?
That's the ultra wealthy.
Nah, bro. Where's this information coming from? What's the source?
I said,
let me go back.
What's the source?
Bro.
What's the source?
I'm pulling it up.
Actually, no, Brylan. I'll ask you, because you similar. What do you consider yourself? What class would you consider yourself to be part of?
Man, if I'm gonna be honest over here,
be honest with you. Be honest, bro.
Yeah,
I'm on your ass.
I'm gonna be honest. I feel lower middle class, bro.
But it's still middle class. I agree with you. I feel the same way. I feel the same way.
Feelings, though. We're talking about facts, though.
I feel the same way. You
know what? I see why America hates y'all niggas, man.
And I don't know if it's lower, middle. I don't know if it's lower, middle, upper. I'm middle class. I'm in the middle of the bucket. That's how I feel.
I feel middle too, but
it's about retained earnings, bro. That's what matters in the company. That is what matters in life.
I know what y'all niggas. Look. that because if Dre middle class and Brylan middle class, then guess what? Everybody on that bitch. Bro, what?
Bro, I look at my own.
Yep.
I look at my own circle. We all got different circles. I look at my own circle, and amongst my friends in my circle, the ones who we transparent in terms of like how we think about finances and just where we are, bro. I'm not even close. I'm at the bottom of the barrel considering my friend.
That's how you got. No, that's how being smart.
But my friend group. But the thing is, my friend group is not necessarily just made up of It's not made up of founders. I'm not talking about founders. I'm not talking about people in tech. I'm not talking about people that had a bunch of stock. No, I'm talking about people that just have great jobs, have saved their money, put their money into index funds, just been smart with keeping more than they've saved. Haven't lived flashy. Haven't lived any of that. And after doing that for we've been working 10 years now, bro. They're just in a better position, and they didn't get there by some large liquidity event or nothing crazy. So that's why when I look at that, it's hard for me to say, oh, I'm above middle class, because it's like, bro, I'm seeing people right now, bro. I know friends of mine that work at fucking factories, bro, just bringing in $10,000 off of rental income, just rental. I don't have that, so it's like. So in my mind, when I'm comparing it's like,
you keep
bro,
I see what you're saying.
That's not middle. That's not middle class.
No.
Like,
you're talking about a mindset that helps you keep going up.
I'm talking about reality of like real. I'm talking about real facts, not like paper wealth. Like if you look at like my company, like yeah, sure, there's millions in there, but like we ain't talking about that because that can't be sold right now. That can't be liquid. That can't be liquidated right now.
Hold on. No, I agree with that. Because I can't liquidate. I agree with that. I agree with that. I agree with that too. I agree with that too. All I'm simply saying, is that for a family, for a family is three. For a family is three. The middle class numbers are 50,000 to 100 in the household. So and just salary. And so from that knowledge, if there's a household income,
no, that's that net worth. That's that net worth. Was that net worth or income? Was that net worth or income?
Mine was
right
net
now.
worth.
No, what I'm looking at right now is the middle class Americans is typically defined as adults whose annual household income is 2/3 double to the national median. So after adjusting for household size, so in 2018, the middle class income range was approximately, I actually overestimated. It was actually 48,000 to 145,000 for a household of three. So 2 people and a baby.
Okay.
So if you're making over that, I cannot look at somebody making over that as middle class. I can understand why somebody will feel middle class, and I can see that. Don't get it twisted. I get why everybody can see their feel middle class.
It's cool. We just got two different definitions of middle class. Then, like, it's simple. I just want to make it clear for those just listening, though. Like, I'm middle class. I'm middle class. This is as simply as that. Like,
you're on your way up. You're on your way up.
Oh, for sure. We all trying to get there.
You're on your way up. I hear you. You're on your way up. This is the mindset that got Dre here, because he's been telling himself this story when he was poverty, and now he's way past, and he's gonna keep telling himself he's middle class until he has no workers and all he has is robots.
We gotta increase our expectations. We gotta increase our expectations.
We gotta increase our expectations. Elon, he'll be like, look at Elon. Elon, my friend. So based on what Elon making, I'm in the middle.
Nah.
I hear you though. It's you have hunger though. I just want to make sure. I just want to say I hear you though.
Bro, it's reality. We just got different definitions, bro. It's a definition thing. We just because even me and Brylan in a similar boat, bro. We literally in a similar boat.
How's the reality?
Two people in a household, just in their career. I don't know what Brylan bringing in. I don't know what Lena bringing in, but I'd imagine our demographic household is not too different. It ain't too different.
But y'all don't have a baby.
Yeah, exactly.
It's for three people.
But both of us feel that we are lower middle class. So that's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. It's a definition thing, because you could read the label, but like, bro, that's not the reality. That's what I'm saying. That's not the reality.
Well, also we saying the same thing though, because I'm saying I get what you feeling. I'm just saying, like, yo, if you feeling that, if you feeling like you in middle class, and Brylan feel like he in middle class, then I can only imagine what motherfuckers that we, bro. And like, bro, people probably feel it.
Bro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Most people is that like I'm saying, yo, if we feeling like that, and you're feeling like that, that's hunger and that's dope, and it's different definitions, but also relativity. You mentioned the people that you're around, and I say that's genius for you. That's you position yourself, and all I can say is you gonna be that like. But then all I think is naturally you're gonna be around other high number individuals, and if you have that same like, yeah, I don't. It's like you're always gonna be around. I think that's one thing too about us in general is that we get to these places and then we forget that at one point like I don't know, I'm not saying you forgot this, and I want to let's not make this personal, but I personally remember I forgot there was a time that we'd be in the gym as young 19-20-year-old men saying, man, we just gotta get to 100,000, because 100,000 to us signified the American dream, and it signified, hey, another upper echelon. And here's the thing, yes, we got to that level and we started seeing more, but there's so many people that's not even breaking the 100,000. There's like the majority of people not even breaking the 100,000. And so when I think about middle class, yes, it is probably a definition thing, but I'm also looking at it like, damn, most people are under 100 plus the household of three, probably four, maybe, and in a lot of cases, 4 or 5, and I'm saying if we have no kids and we are already breaking past the 6-figure parts, and we have like, yes, if we get too crunch it, yes, I see it. But then I'm like, damn. Then I know that over 70% of people is in a much, and I can't help but think if we feel in that insecurity, then that level of insecurity, it gotta be. It does make me nervous. That's why people will view. It makes me understand why people view the events a certain way. If you're already barely making it and you feel like you're barely holding on, yeah, that shit might shake you to your fucking core if you think that you might lose your hustle. Because you like, you got a kid, you got 2 kids, and you got a house. And I'm not saying we all adults. And also, by the way, you're married, you have a wife now. I already know you're planning for a family. Cause I also know that when I started planning for a family, I started to feel broken. I know that about me. When I started planning about like when the baby, and I started to feel, oh wait, I started to get lower. I started to get lower in my mind. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to look at it like this, because I also don't want people who are. We have an audience of a variety of people. But we also have people who are adults that have had who had families, and they are they had to live way smaller, and they call themselves middle class. So when they hear us say middle class, it's like but we might be right. We're not wrong in our feeling, but they was living like this, and then we have a little bit more of that flexibility, and even to say we have paper millions, that's still like, yeah, we can know the reality of it, but to even say we have that it's above. I mean, we're in the 1% of the 1% of if we go to the race thing too, then it gets another level where it's like, and maybe that's where I get affected too, because sometimes I'd be like, look at that. I look at the bigger picture, but then maybe the race part too.
Yeah, maybe I live in a different reality. I don't know, man. But I see
it's good for you.
Yeah,
you're Steve. You used to study Steve. Remember, everybody on this podcast, Dre used to watch Steve over and over and over again. Dre has a reality distortion field. It works. It works well.
I live in a different world because I see that sentiment out there in the headlines of people struggling. I see that. I see it. Right. But generally when I see, but I'm also seeing the opposite, right? I see the counterfactual to that, where it's a ton of people that's not struggling, and everybody is not monolithic, meaning like everybody's not in tech getting it. Not everybody's an investor getting it. Like I'm about to go on site and meet up with a plumber. This dude doing $5 million in revenue as a plumber, taking home $2 million in profit. He's a plumber. He's in one market. He's just in Austin. So that's why I'm like, I see that. Like I see the headlines. I see the concern. I see the headlines about what debts are. And I see all of that. Right. And I understand that makes up a large amount of people. But the counterfactual to that is like, bro, there's so many people that are unseen that are just getting it. And so when I align myself against them, like, sure, I can align myself with people to work at the factory. And sure, if I align myself with them, then I'm at the top. right? But when I align myself with the other 50% of what I see, it's like, yeah, I'm not quite there yet.
I hear you. But
Absolutely.
that's why I also say that's an ambitious mindset,
Hey, I
though.
need to head out,
You know,
y'all.
yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta head out
All
too.
right.
But
No,
don't
this is a good
the
episode
ambition.
though. This is a good
Yeah,
episode.
yeah.
Yeah. All right, y'all.
All right, guys. Take care. Take care. What's going?